with Tori and Kyle. Good morning to Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto. That's your new theme song. Do you like it?
It's lovely.
I love how you put up with me. I love it. Welcome, Dr. Jaimie.
Thanks.
Cold out.
It's super cold.
Did you hear me? For the first time ever, frost advisory? I don't think I've ever said those words ever.
It's exciting for you.
Let's talk about Dr. Jaimie Ronchetto, one of the best vets in the area. If you need a veterinarian, Cinema Vet, it's located on Cinema Drive.
Correct.
Good name for the place. Because if you forget the address, you just go, where am I going? Cinema Vet. Got it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Makes it easy.
Makes it real easy. We're going to talk today a little bit about vaccinations and microchipping.
Yes.
So microchipping, and do not yell at me, but I didn't do it yet with my dog. Do not yell at me, but it should be done. It
really should be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to yell.
No, I won't.
Okay. Microchipping is a little teeny chip, I guess, in the neck area, is it?
Kind of the scruff area, know, where they have an extra skin. We inject it under there, so it just goes under the skin. It's about the size of a grain of rice, so it's small. And it's important because it gives your dog a specific number that's linked to the microchip. And if your dog or cat were to ever get away and get picked up, if they get scanned, they can take that number and be able to find out your information. So your information needs to stay up to date with the microchip company. So that's the biggest point, is that if anything changes, your phone number, your address, or anything, you need to update it with the company so that
or else it's no good.
Yeah. And that happens quite often, actually, is, we'll get a pet in and we'll scan it. It has a chip. Great. And then we go and either they haven't registered it at all, so there's no information in there, or the information is old and we still can't reach them. So that's always really sad.
So it's really important to do it. It's really important to keep it updated.
Yes.
Which is sounding from your stories the more important of the two. My goodness. Keep up to date. Your files need to keep up to date.
The chip isn't going to be worthwhile at all if you don't have your information in there.
Does the dog or the cat ever whine? Do you think it hurts them at all, this injection?
Honestly, most of them are really brave and they tolerate it really well. For puppies and kittens, we like to do it when we have them under anesthesia for their spay or their neuter. That way they're sleeping and they don't feel it. But we can do it at any time. And really, they tolerate it very well. So.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest part. When you hear microchip, I feel like someone is going to put like a floppy disk in their neck. and it just kind of, the same with, in that same vein, we're going to talk about, like literally vein, vaccinations. So does that hurt the pet when you have to?
I think it's probably the same as us getting, the flu shot. It's probably a little uncomfortable, but
I don't like that. I don't like needles, Dr. Jaimie.
Well, they typically don't really realize what's going on. At least at my clinic, we try to, distract them and give them lots of treats and loves, while we're doing it. And most of them don't even flinch, Some might cry a little bit and turn and go, what'd you do?
What's happening back there? Usually
the temperature taking is worse than anything else you could possibly ever do to them in their eyes,
Look, let's be real. I think in anybody's eyes, that is simply just completely invasive. What are the most important vaccinations we should get for our dogs and cats? Or do they differ? Like, do they get different types of vaccines?
They do get different types of vaccines. The one that is absolutely the most important that both dogs and cats should get is the rabies vaccine, because we do have rabies out here. We have it certainly in our bat population very heavily, and it's 100% fatal disease, and it's people can get it as well. So that's why it's so important. Even if you have a completely indoor-only cat, I still recommend getting it because you never know.
Just never know.
What could happen. I mean, there's always reports of people finding bats in their home. They come in down the chimney or they get in somehow through the attic, and you never know. So
is it law to get the rabies?
It is.
Okay, that's what I thought. Law. Because when I take my dog to the groomer, they require the license be kept up to, like, we have to show that we've kept that up to date, the vaccination.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm assuming, yes, you do. You have to do it by law. But I guess some people don't.
Some people don't, the anti-vaccine craze is not just for humans. So we do have a lot of people that have their fears, have misconceptions about vaccines, and really are very wary. But I will say it's required by law for a reason, because it is 100% fatal disease. So it's that important.
Rabies, number one.
Number one.
What else would you say is... What would go in the number 2 slot?
For dogs, I definitely highly recommend the distemper parvo combo vaccine, because that vaccine also prevents potentially fatal diseases. So parvo is a virus that dogs get, typically younger dogs, but can affect any dog of any age. It's a horrible virus that affects the gastrointestinal system and causes vomiting, diarrhea, extreme dehydration, and they can die from it. And even with treatment, sometimes they don't make it. So, and distemper as well can be fatal. It can cause anywhere from gastrointestinal signs to even neurological signs, seizures, and they're nasty.
Does anyone ever fight you on it? Like if someone brings in a puppy or a kitten, and you say, "Okay, let's get the appointment for the vaccinations." Does anyone ever fight you on it?
Not really. So it's interesting. Not so much the young dogs and cats, the puppy and kitten visits. We set them up with a vaccine schedule. So it's just like, it's very similar to a human child. You get boosters at certain times so that you make sure that they're fully protected. And I don't usually get pushback for that. Certainly older animals that have had their vaccines for their entire life, maybe they're seniors at this point, then we can have that discussion about, okay, with their lifestyle, is it appropriate to continue giving it or not? The nice thing is that there are titer tests that we can do. So for those older pets that maybe aren't doing so well, but we're still concerned, we can always run a vaccine titer on them for certain, like the distemper and the parvo, to see if that vaccine we gave 3 years ago, is it still protective? Is it still a protective level? Then we might not need to rebooster.
What I'm hearing is communication is key among the pet owner and the doctor.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
What do you think? So we talked about microchipping, cat and dog vaccines. Anything else that you can think of that just, when I hear anything with a shot, it just... I tense up, because the thing that I'm worried about most, and I did this with my child, is just seeing them cry and being in that just temporary pain.
Right.
Is there anything along the same lines that we need to talk about that makes me tense and upset so we cannot talk about it again?
Well, I mean, a lot of that is us, because we know how it can feel, and they can't talk to us. We can't communicate with them to tell them, like, it's going to be okay. So we have to make them comfortable in other ways. But I will say that most of the time we will try to remove the pet from your site for it, just because of that, like,
that is
instinctual reaction that the humans have.
That is a really good move.
We don't want it to translate to the pet, because they read you know, and so they're, oh, mom's upset. I'm upset too, before anything even happens. So when we take them to the treatment area to do that quick vaccine, they tend to do a lot better. And like I said, we give lots of love and treats and distract, and it's usually over in a second, and they don't even know what happened.
It sounds like you have this down. You would know, you would smell me coming, and you would have the office prepared. Just take the dog away from her, have her, you probably have treats for us too. Just sit down, eat your treat, and wait for your pet to come out. It's really super important. I have to get over my PTSD about needles and, see a therapist, but get the dogs and cats in for these vaccinations, and the microchipping, really super important.
It is.
Yeah. And if you want to get a hold of Dr. Jaimie, who wouldn't? And sometimes during the year, you also have specials.
We do run specials
on vaccines, right?
Yes, and we have vaccine clinic days on Saturdays. So if you're up to date with your exam, so we have to have seen your pet before within the year, then you can have just a quick technician appointment, come in, see my technician, and get your vaccines done at a reduced rate.
Fantastic. And all that information, cinemavet.com?
Yep.
And the phone number is 253-9300?
That is it.
There you go. If you missed any of this information, we did stream this interview. You can find it on our Facebook page at KHTS Radio, and get in touch with Dr. Jaimie. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Beep, beep.